Hi guys, how are you all today? I hope everybody's doing well. Let me know that you can hear me and see me. Hi Phyllis, I'm glad your book arrived today. It is a big book, sorry, but there's a lot of good information in there. Veronica, good to see you. Y'all give us a shout out. Let me know that you can hear me and see, and everything's working all right on your side. Let everybody know where you're from because you never know, your neighbor might be stitching next to you. Hi, Robin. Hi, Cindy. Good to see you guys today. It's going to be a short show today. I am stacked up with a bit of work. So no snow there, Karen. If there were snow there right now, I would worry about y'all because it is hotter than Hades here today. Hi from Brazil. Wow, we're getting places all over the world. Hi, Tamara. Hi, Gail. Hi, Donna. You're looking good from Albuquerque. I bet it's hotter there than it is here, but I don't know that it can be that much hotter. It's warm here today, guys. It's very warm. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Stephanie and Bridget. Good to see you all. So I forgot to do something last week. I'm going to start with that because I had a question from a customer and it totally slipped my mind at the end of last week. I meant to do it. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to talk about using backdrops. And that's what I have for you today. So we're going to go through that. And at the end of that, we will go forth. Karen, back to business is virtual, which is why I am stacked up. Things are crazy. Trying to get ready to go. So y'all stay tuned next week. On the 4th, we release new product and there are some really nice things coming. I can't tell you what. I'd have to chop off an arm or my tongue if I do. So just stay tuned next week and you'll see what's going on. All right, so let's start in BES4. What I'm going to do is, I know I've done this before, but I could not tell you which video it is. Bringing in an applique and basically changing it to a scan and cut compatible file, which can then be exported as an SVG file if you have a cutting machine that is not a P design, that's not a Brother Scan and Cut. So you will have to bring that SVG file into your own software. I cannot walk you through that because I don't have everybody's software, but I can walk you through saving it out as an SVG file. Now, the SVG button export is on every BES unit. So it's in the base level. You do not have to have a power pack. The power pack comes in when you want to import an SVG, but you can export one with the base level. Okay, so let's start over in our BES4 and let me see here, find that little button. There we go. Hey, Judy. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Karen. So let's see here. What do we have today? I am going to merge a design in that I've created. So merge, and we are going to come down here and find my little school bus. So here's my school bus. Now, how do I get this to work? Because you'll notice the colors are not the correct color, right? We need to change those to applique material so that your placement stitches, the first stitch in every color segment needs to be the color applique material. That means you need to select the Brother Embroidery thread palette, the basic Brother Embroidery thread palette. And the little tic-tac-toe board up here is where you select your thread palettes. So you select that, you select the color that you want to mess with and scroll all the way to the end of that thread palette. These last 4 is not defined. The last one on the list is a not defined color. We don't want it. We want the 4th one in, the Brother Embroidery applique material. So you are going to click that and you'll notice it changed that color to Brother Embroidery applique material. We want to click on the second segment and do the same thing because those are my 2 applique colors. Okay. Now we're going to click off of everything and go to our Tools tab and press the Scan and Cut button. They're both there. It doesn't look like it. So if you look over in the All Items area, you'll notice I have 2 different segments. that are applique material. I'm going to move one of them down so that now we have, they're separate. Go up to the application button and choose export and then export SVG. And that's as simple as I can get it for you. So any questions on that one? You would name your file, and just basically say it'll save it out as an SVG file. And that's the easiest way in the world. Now, what else can I do with that export button? Now, that one's a good one. So let me come over here and show you one other thing. Let's find the right button there. If I am in 3D view, draw 3D, and I want to export this to a customer or something with, no, Karen, it does not add any kind of offset to it. You would need to do that at your other software. You could do it in here, but you do need to know how much you want. So if I wanted to export this to a customer as an image file, I can choose export image instead. When I do that, I can come in here, I can save it as a bitmap, a JPEG, a PNG file, or a GIF file. You pick your preference. So let's say I want to do it as a PNG file, and we'll call it school bus just to keep it good. And I'm going to press save. It will automatically crop that image in if that check mark's there. That is the default setting. Click OK. And now let me go find that folder. So let's go to my data, go to Cindy's Facebook Live files, and we should see a school bus in here. School bus image. There it is, actually, right there. That's my picture file. Okay, so if you're wanting to send a design for a customer, that's a great way to do that. Okay. I'm going to come back over here. Any questions on that? Nope. Okay. If you wanted to add the 2mm seam allowance, Karen, we could do that. It's probably would be better done on the scan and cut itself, because it would do it more proportionally. But if you had Power Pack 2, you can do that here. You could come in and let's change our size here. Let's change to right mouse click and choose metric. You could come in and bump this up by 2mm each dimension. So you would want to make sure that you do each one. Take off maintain aspect ratio. So let me undo what I just did. Let's take off maintain aspect ratio, each one 2mm. And I would want to go ahead and go up on this one to make it 3. That would give it that gave it a millimeter bump. Okay. You could go up 2mm or not. If you have Power Pack 2, however, and you wanted to add in basically an extra bump, you can come into the offset button, choose create an offset, go to the outside area, change your spacing to 2mm, and you can remove the original file and click OK. It automatically adds it, and that's easier to do right here. So that's a quick, easy way to do it, and it's going to be proportional, and it's going to make it look correct. The other method is kind of spotty. It may be may not be quite as precise. So having that little offset is really easy to do. If you do it on the scan and cut itself, there is an offset button there that you could do. Do offsets, don't create a seam allowance, create the offset, okay? Now, let's talk about backdrops, because both BES4 and PE Design have a backdrop tool, okay? So let's come over here, go to your View tab, and choose Backdrop, Load a Backdrop. Why would I want to load a backdrop? Well, there's a couple of reasons that you might want to do it. If you have taken a picture of an item that you want to embellish on, you can hunt for that. And you can actually drop your embroidery design on there to see if it's going to be proportional with it. But the other reason is you can draw around these, regardless of what you have, whether it be the base level of BES4 or a Power Pack add-on, you have a drawing tool. The base level has the line drawing tool. Having said that, that doesn't mean you can't draw curves. With Power Pack 2, you get more drawing tools. I use this one right here a lot. But with the line drawing tool, if you want to do a curve, you just click and hold down the control key. And as you click, you'll notice that my line is bending. If you take off the control key, it goes back to straights. When you put the control key down, it goes back to curves. And don't worry about drawing perfectly. You can always come in and reshape it. But this is giving you that capability of drawing something to create an applique around it if you do not have a Power Pack that will create the artwork for you automatically. Because this is an image file, and an image file will not convert to an applique unless it has been drawn. Okay? So I'm going to click on around here, and when I get to this spot right here, I'm going to say close shape. Once I've done that, I can click on my select tool and I can edit that shape. And if I want it to, if I need that point to be a curve, I can right mouse click on it and I can say smooth it. And then I'll have my little wingy dingy. So let's zoom in on that so you can see what I'm talking about. Tools tab, edit shape tool, click back on that node. These guys right here are your Bezier tools, and they allow you to adjust the amount of a curve. Okay, and if you want your artwork dimmed out, go to your backdrop, go to the View tab, click on the backdrop. We want to actually select our backdrop. Right here, the transparency. Right now, it's at 100%. So let's change it down to 50. Notice how that lightens that up and allows you to see what you're drawing around. Now, it took my beak and stuff off too much, so maybe I went too far. Let's try 75%. Let's try 25%. So you'll notice as you change your percentages, it will actually change what you've got. But whatever you drew there, every level of the scan and cut can convert that to an applique. Okay, depending, now this is something you need to keep in mind. I'm going to put a blanket stitch on it. Notice how mine is going the correct direction. If I drew from right to left instead, it would go the opposite direction, oddly enough. Let's do that. Let me come grab my artwork tool again, and let's start here. And the only reason I know this is because some of the original patterns that are in the software were drawn right to left. And so when you go to put a blanket stitch on them, they don't actually work because that wasn't the feature that we had originally in the very first BES. And they've been in there for a long, long time. So if yours happens to go the opposite direction, if you've got a file that you purchased, an SVG or an FCM file that you purchased, oops, I wanted to close that shape, and you converted it to an applique, it's fine with a regular one, but if you come in and choose a blanket stitch, it may go the opposite. Well, I actually managed to do it right that time. I'm not real sure, but I have managed to turn them the opposite direction. Let me see if I can find one that I can explain that to you with. So let's look here. Applique. Which one is it that does that? I believe it's it's either this one or the strawberry. So let's change this one to a blanket stitch. Oh, wrong one. That one's right, so it must be the strawberry. And just keep in mind that you do have options, but if yours happens to go the wrong direction, go in and draw it the opposite direction and it should work for you. So let's come in here and change this to a blanket stitch. There we go. See how that one's going the wrong way? So that means it was drawn in an opposite direction. Just keep that in mind, okay? All right, let me come back over here. Any other questions? Oh. Sorry, I'm getting binged. It's kind of one of those days. Yeah, that's a hairy strawberry, and your blanket stitch would not work for that one because the fabric wouldn't get caught. So, and there's no way to reverse that blanket stitch. So, what I could do is actually draw that strawberry the opposite direction, and it should work. But you just kind of need to keep that in mind. Okay. All right, let me see here. Let's go over to PE Design, and let's talk backdrop there. In PE Design, it's not actually called a backdrop. If you go to your Image tab and you choose Open, the only thing that you can open from PE Design is an image. So on the Image tab, let's see here. Let's go to Tennessee National. I'm trying to see something that I've got. So logos. I have my brother's logo here. We can bring it in. It's going to take it a minute because it's a big file. So let me zoom out. First of all, let me go to my Home tab and zoom out. And I'm going to shrink this file in. So when it has edit nodes around it, a red line and edit nodes around it, you can shrink that file in to make it smaller to where it fits your actual hoop size that you're planning on using it with. Let's go ahead and zoom back into the center of my window and go back to our Image tab. So the Modify Image here, this is your fade level. It comes in at the darkest level. If you're wanting to try to draw over it, you lower that level. And how do I use this? Well, I could try auto punch with it, but I'm generally not going to get exactly what I want. But let's see what we get. If we go to our Image tab and try auto punch, I'm going to crop out the words because I know that's not going to work well for me. Let's go ahead and click Next. And let's fit it to the page and click Next again. And you'll notice that there's a lot of junk there. So this is really not a great file to do this with. Let's see if we make it big again, if it likes it any better. And it kept my cropping, you'll notice. I'm not going to fit it to my page this time, but you'll notice at a larger size, I got a better job. And I can come down here and tell it, I really don't want you to have 20 colors in here. I want it more like 4 or 5. Let's try 4. I needed that 5th color because it's looking at the white background. So there we go. I can now click Finished. And my embroidery design is there. It's got some white parts in it. I can actually delete those and leave the opening sections of it and move it in here. Then I can turn my image back on because it automatically hides it. I can turn that image back on and type in my text, okay? So then I would hunt for a font that would match that. And that's how, if you're trying to do that, you can do it. I'm going to go ahead and select my white, move my cursor in and delete it because I don't actually want the white sections, and let's fade out that background. So depending on your artwork will depend on what you've got. Now, once you've got something auto-digitized, I'm going to go ahead and grab those white sections too and get rid of them. Once you've got it auto-digitized, you can come in here. I'm going to actually see it's grouped, but that's okay. If you use your Alt key on the keyboard, you can select just one section. So I can select the one that I want without taking anything away from it, and I can change it to a satin stitch or whatever I want. Same thing with these parts down here. So if I want to come in and let's say I want to grab this one, Alt key, I can, that one's actually already a stitch. We can grab that one or this one. Let's go ahead and do that one. So depending on what you're working with will depend on what you play with, but that's a good way to go. You could increase the size. It's not going to look good. It's not going to work, Cindy. I would just draw around it. So if you're stuck on that, if you need that strawberry and it must be that strawberry, here's what I would do. Let me come back to my strawberry. All right. It's easy enough to take care of. Come into your Tools tab, go to your Artwork tool, draw around it. Just use that as a backdrop and don't worry about, we can actually delete it, but use it as your backdrop. So I've got it drawn. I'm going to right mouse click to set it. I'm going to convert that to an applique now, and then let's change that to a blanket stitch. So there's my blanket stitch. I can change my covering stitch to the third color, and let's delete the original. And move this one up to the front. And that's how easy that one is. So that gives you the option of fixing it, and you can take care of it pretty easily. Okay. No, P Design does not add it either, Karen. So let me pop your question up here. P Design does not add the 2 millimeters when exporting. What P Design does, if you create your applique there, you don't need to add an extra because of the way it's done, the way it's generated. It actually pops that stitch, the applique material out to the exterior of the design itself. Now, if it's a built-in design in BES4, you actually have a couple of options that you could play with to add the 2 millimeter offset. But if it's something you're bringing in from somewhere else, you don't really have that option. If I'm bringing in a design from BES4 and I want to add, I don't want to do that one, and I want to add an offset to it, instead of adding an offset, what I can do is, all right, you see how your placement stitch is on the outside edge and then your tack down is the inner piece right there? Those are the two lines. Watch this trick. And we're going to grab that piece in our sequence view window. We're going to grab the applique itself. We're going to change our inset percentage to 85%. And you'll notice how it jumps to the outside edge. And then change your tack down offset. This is what I like to do. I like it at -1 so that it grabs my fabric better. There you go. So now when I hit my scan and cut button, it actually will be the correct size. I'm going to change that color so you can see it, and I'll copy it and paste it back on top of this one, and you can see how that goes to the outside edge without me having to add any metrics, any math to it. Basically, just increase that size. Okay, guys. Other questions? Otherwise, it is a fast day today. Like I said, I've still got more work. I'm swamped. I would love to tell you that I have all day to mess around with you, but y'all didn't send any questions in this week. So I am going to say adios if we have no other questions. I'll give you a few more minutes I'll be happy to answer any that come through, but I don't have a ton for you today. I have just been covered up with work. So if you guys don't have anything else for me, then I hopefully will be able to see you next Tuesday. But I would really appreciate some questions because I'm not going to have time to come up with something really exciting for you. So if you send in some questions and it's not something real complicated, I can probably take care of you. All right, guys, y'all have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next week. And be sure to stay tuned in, like next Wednesday, I actually guess it is. On the 4th, Brother releases product. So you should be hearing more about that in the coming weeks, but everything that we release is released on Wednesday of next week. So I'll see you on Tuesday. Bye-bye.